The story starts in a Siberian camp where hundreds of German prisoners were held as prisoners. Although there were no guards for security, no one dared to escape. Why? Because even if someone did manage to flee, they wouldn't last long in the freezing cold of the Arctic Circle. However, there was one soldier named Clement Farrell who was determined to escape and to reunite with his wife and daughter. One night, he finally seized his opportunity. In the dead of night, he stealthily climbed aboard a coal train. As the train began to move, Clement experienced a wave of joy as he gazed up at the star-filled sky. But suddenly, the train stopped in the middle of nowhere. Clement carefully peeked outside. But just then, a Soviet soldier spotted him. He was caught and locked up in a pigsty. To make matters worse, it started raining heavily. But despite everything, Clement stayed strong for 3 whole days without food or water. After that, the prison warden decided to release him, saying, "Your comrades are waiting for you." When Clement finally reached the tunnel, he saw that his comrades were furious. They were waiting for him with weapons in their hands. The reason for their anger was that, because of Clement's escape attempt, they had all been starved for 3 days. Suddenly, they attacked Clement, beating him like a dog. He was badly injured and had to be taken to the camp doctor. This doctor was also a prisoner, and he was impressed by Clement's courage to escape. The doctor then told Clement that escaping from the Arctic Circle was nearly impossible. Everyone who had tried before had died. But then the doctor revealed the secret. Those who don't try to escape will eventually die here as well. The truth is, all the prisoners there are forced to work in mines, digging for a metal called lead. Over time, the lead slowly seeps into their bodies through the air, which means that sooner or later, they're all doomed to die. That's why the doctor advised Clement to take his chance and try to escape. The doctor then gave Clement all his warm clothes and boots and told him that food had been hidden along the railway lines at different spots. He also handed Clement a gun. The doctor had actually prepared all of this for his own escape, but a month ago, he found out he had cancer and wouldn't live more than a month, even if he did escape. Finally, the doctor gave Clement his lunchbox and said, "If you make it, please tell my family about my death." That night, Clement escaped once again. The next morning, when the warden found out that Clement had fled, he went to question the doctor. But by then, the doctor had already sacrificed his life. Meanwhile, Clement was pushing forward with full determination, battling the snow and strong winds. The warden sent out soldiers to search for Clement, but even after several days, they found no trace of him. Everyone assumed he had frozen to death in the snow, but the warden was convinced that Clement was still alive, so he ordered the search to continue. 9 days after escaping, Clement suddenly saw a sled chasing after him. He started running, but the sled quickly caught up and ran over him. Suddenly, Clement opened his eyes and realized that he was completely fine. It had all been a dream. In reality, this whole incident was just a trick of his mind. All around him was a vast expanse of white snow, and he had run out of food. Despair started to set in, and he prayed to God for a miracle. But in the Arctic Circle, there was nothing but snow as far as the eye could see. With no other options left, Clement kept moving forward for a few more days, struggling to survive. Eventually, his body couldn't take it anymore, and he fainted from hunger. Some time later, he woke up to a strange sound. When he looked around, he spotted a seal, and his eyes lit up with hope. He quickly grabbed his gun and with trembling hands fired at the seal. But unfortunately, he missed every shot. The seal started to escape, and Clement ran after it. Suddenly, the seal dove into the icy water. Without thinking too much, Clement fired another shot and finally managed to kill the seal. After eating, Clement wrapped his feet with bandages to get some relief from the cold. After a bit of rest, he set off on his journey again. The long and lonely trek could easily have driven him mad, so he kept talking to himself to stay sane. He also checked his compass regularly to make sure he didn't lose his way. After walking for several more days, he finally saw a tree in the middle of all the snow. Seeing the tree, Clement was overwhelmed with joy and ran to hug it. This tree meant that after 2 months of continuous walking, he had finally made it out of the Arctic Circle. Meanwhile, the prison warden still hadn't given up and ordered a search of a 500-kilometer area. But Clement had already made it to the forest. But suddenly, a fierce snowstorm began. The storm was so powerful that even large trees were being uprooted and falling. As Clement tried to get up, a massive tree fell right on top of him. Luckily, 2 men named Sam, John, and Manon, who were there searching for gold, found Clement and saved his life. After that, the 3 of them continued their journey together. As they moved forward, the weather gradually started to improve. The 3 of them decided to build a makeshift raft to cross the river. While crossing, they shared stories about their lives. But soon, the river's current became too strong, making it hard for Clement and Madden to control the raft. Suddenly, Sam John lost his balance and fell into the river. Just as Sam John was about to drown, Clement, without thinking about his own safety, immediately jumped into the river. After a tough struggle, he managed to pull Sam John back to the shore. Meanwhile, Madden decided to leave them behind and continued on his own. When he reached his hut, he assumed that Sam John had drowned in the river. So he stole Sam John's gold and other valuable items. But just moments later, Sam John and Clement arrived at the hut. Furious at Madden's betrayal, Sam John shot and killed him. After that, Sam John and Clement packed up their belongings and set out on their journey once again. Soon, winter began, making the journey even more difficult. Clement tried to help by carrying Sam John's bag to lighten his load, but Sam John thought Clement was trying to steal his gold. In a fit of paranoia, Sam John attacked Clement with his bag, knocking him unconscious. When Clement opened his eyes, he saw a pack of wolves running toward him. Terrified, he tried to climb a small tree, but the hungry wolves were pulling him down by his pants. Despite his efforts, the small tree eventually gave up and fell down, and Clement was staring death in the face. Just then, the sound of gunshots rang out, and all the wolves were killed. It turned out that some shepherds in the area had saved Clement's life. They took him to their village, where several shepherds treated his injuries. With their help, Clement's body healed quickly, and he was overjoyed to be around people again after so long. He even made a few friends among the shepherds. But soon, a notice from the prison warden arrived in the village stating that anyone who sheltered Clement would be put to death. Forced by this threat, Clement had no choice but to leave the village. Before leaving, the shepherds gave Clement plenty of food and a hunting dog as a gift. On his journey home, Clement wasn't alone, so he didn't feel lonely. He and his new companion traveled together for almost a year. One day, they reached a lumber mill, where Clement's dog ran off in search of food but was chased away by some workers. When Clement stepped forward, the workers recognized him. The mill owner then offered Clement a meal and arranged for him to board a train to Germany. Clement was thrilled, knowing he was so close to home. However, he didn't realize that the mill owner had reported him to the police, and the prison warden was waiting for him at the train station with his soldiers. Fortunately, Clement spotted the soldiers at the station before they saw him, so he seized the chance and escaped. But within moments, the prison warden caught him red-handed. Clement felt all hope was lost. But suddenly, his hunting dog attacked the warden and bit him badly. Thanks to his dog's bravery, Clement got another chance to flee. Just then, he heard gunshots and realized that the warden had killed his dog. Despite his grief, Clement didn't stop running. He found an opportunity to climb onto a bridge and jump onto a train passing below. Once again, he narrowly escaped. Clement continued on his journey. Time passed, and he had no money and food. He was wandering around a carnival when he spotted some delicious food, but the shopkeeper chased him away rudely. Clement continued walking and came across a pancake stand where two girls greeted him. Since he had no money, he felt disappointed and was about to leave. However, one kind-hearted girl felt sorry for him and broke off a piece of pancake, giving it to Clement through a child. At first, Clement hesitated, but then he accepted the pancake and ate it. Meanwhile, a Jewish man witnessed the whole thing. Clement continued walking and ended up in a church, where he prayed to God with folded hands. The Jewish man followed him to the church, but did not turn him in to the police. It turned out that the man had also been a war prisoner before, so he could understand Clement's situation. The Jewish man took Clement to his home, where Clement took a bath and returned to his old self. The man also gave him a passport and some documents, which deeply moved Clement. With the passport, Clement crossed the Soviet border, and after a brief interrogation, he was allowed to go. When Clement saw the checkpoint, he was shocked to realize he was still on Soviet soil, which meant the warden could still arrest him. His heart sank, feeling like all his years of hard work were in vain. But suddenly, he saw that the warden had moved out of his way. Clement couldn't believe his eyes but slowly moved forward. In truth, Clement's will to survive and his determination to make it through a grueling 7-year journey had touched the warden's heart. That's why the warden let Clement go. As a soldier, he had the power to arrest Clement and end his journey, but he chose not to. Finally, Clement crossed the border and reached home. His wife and daughter were on their way to church. Clement followed them, and once inside the church, his daughter recognized him and ran to embrace her father. What do you think? Did the warden make the right choice, or did he betray his country? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next video.